3 things you will learn in this episode: how to turn midlife upheaval into intentional reinvention, how identity shaking discoveries can become sources of resilience and purpose, and why real healing, courage, and joy come from the body, not just the mind. What do you get when you combine a powerhouse lawyer from DC, a best selling midlife author, a TEDx speaker, and a woman who's traveled to 72 countries? You get Maria Leonard Olsen. Hi, Maria. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
I'm so glad you joined us today and that you are here and here to share your story with people. Yeah. So let's just jump right in.
At age 50, I got divorced, sober, became an empty nester, and tried 50 new things in my 50th year to determine how I wanted to live the next chapter of my life.
Wow.
And then I was gifted a 23andMe DNA test for speaking at a mixed race conference. And it revealed that my dad who raised me is not my biological father. So my biological father turned out to be an actor I'd watched on the big and small screens. And I also discovered that this lifelong Catholic is half Ashkenazi Jew.
Wow. Wow.
So there you go. The wow for me is the resilience I found deep down inside to have been dealt some challenging cards and to turn them into a force for good because I help other people with similar challenges in their lives.
Yeah. Wow. All right. So let's start with the first one. That was a big year. How do you recover from all of that in 1 year?
You just keep moving forward and looking for the learning.
Yeah. Were you happy to be getting divorced? Did you go through the whole sort of what the hell just happened to me thing? Like you got hit by a Mack truck?
I was very unhappy to get divorced.
And you became an empty nester, so your kids went off to school.
Yes.
And tell me about some of the 50 things you did that year.
The most dramatic was selling most of my things, putting the rest in storage, and moving to the poorest region of Nepal, where I lived for a couple months, volunteering at a school, and without running water or electricity, really learned how to be grateful for all of the blessings in my life rather than focusing on what I had lost.
Wow, that's a big one. How long did you stay there?
2 months.
And then what did you do after you were there?
I came back and I had a totally different attitude. I was grateful for such things as clean bathrooms, heat, paper towels, things that are luxuries over there. And I set out to change my life. I made some lifestyle changes, became very intentional, and really delved into who I am and who I want to be.
And so tell us some of the more fun things you did of those 50 things.
Okay. I got my motorcycle license and a motorcycle. I, let's see, I did something that I'm probably never going to do again, which is I went to an open mic night just to see what it felt like to sing on stage. And I'm not a good singer, and I will probably never do that again. But it was something that taught me how to be less nervous on stage and to move through fear, knowing that it won't kill me, it'll likely make me stronger. Travel is a big part of this chapter of my life. I've now been to 72 countries in every continent, and I hope to get to every country in this lifetime. I dropped many rocks of self-judgment and caring about the judgment of other people. I investigated a lot of spiritual endeavors, got really into different modalities of healing, like somatic healing is important to me now. Incorporated a meditation practice, did some thrill-seeking things like indoor skydiving, just trying a lot of new things. I'm looking for my book because I, am blanking on some of the other things right this minute, but every single one of them taught me something about how I want to live this next chapter. 50, commonly known as middle age, it's really past middle age. 38 is middle age in our country, and so I know that I have lived more of my life than I have ahead of me, and I don't wanna waste any of it.
Yeah, that's a perspective I hope to give people, is that we get one beautiful life. It's not a dress rehearsal, and you gotta take some risks and move through the fear in order to get yourself out of that job you don't really want, or because otherwise you're going to live the rest of your life stuck in the same things that you're doing. And I think midlife gives us this moment where we realize we have more control over our circumstances than we have realized in the past. And I think I read a book by Chip Conley. I forget the exact title, but it's something like Embracing Midlife or something. And he talks about how midlife happens at a different time for different people. So some people it happens in their 30s, some people it happens in their late 60s. Like it just depends on when you arrive at that moment. And it's defined more about what happens, what shifts you into that space, whether it be a divorce or a death or something like that. Yeah, so I love that you got your motorcycle license. I did that when I was 39. I had this vision of riding a motorcycle across the country. I wanted to take pictures of all the old dilapidating barns because I know that one day they won't be here. And I finally realized, well, if you're going to do that, you got to learn how to ride a motorcycle. So I learned how to ride a motorcycle. I love it. And I still haven't gone and photographed any of those barns, but I don't think that's really part of the dream for me anymore.
Well, one of the motorcycles that I got had a sidecar for my dog, which was great fun.
That would be amazing, yeah. I thought about that because people in Charleston had sidecars, and I thought, "Man, my little chihuahua would love that." He likes to stick his head out the window when we're riding in the cars, yeah. And then the second thing, let's talk about that test. What did that do for you?
The DNA
So did
test,
you live with
yeah.
a man that you thought was your biological father?
Yes, I did, and, it was probably a blessing that he was dead by the time I took the DNA test, and I was shocked. My whole world was turned upside down to learn that I was half Jewish, that my dad was an actor I had watched on the big and small screens over the course of my life, and it took me a year to find him, and he and I share so many more characteristics than my birth certificate father and I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you have a good relationship with the father who raised you?
No, not really. No. So this was another chance and another father-daughter relationship. It really fed my spirit, and my story is so positive, whereas most people who discover misattributed parentage describe heartbreak. I'm writing a book about this to be published by Bloomsbury in 2026 about DNA test surprises and how common they are and what you should know before and after you take a DNA test, because there are a lot of privacy implications and legal implications. And I've interviewed hundreds of people. And so I have amassed a lot of practical advice for people in navigating this journey.
That's amazing. I wanted to do it for a while, and then I realized that there were forces that were getting access to that information in order to find people, and that were outside of the original intention of just giving someone their heritage. And also I learned that it's more about where, if hundreds of years ago people migrated because of a war, because of something going on, and they all ended up in another location because that's so largely populated for that nationality, that they would say you're from a certain country, but that's not necessarily where you were from, right? So I think there's a lot of kind of complication to that. And I finally decided I don't want anybody to have my DNA.
It's really the most personal of information.
Yeah, so I finally was super interested, and then I got super uninterested. I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. In some ways, that's really wise because a lot of the companies can sell your information or share it for research, and each company's results is only as good as its database.
Yeah, good point. And so you still continue to have a relationship with your biological father?
We did for about 9 years, and then he died,
Hmm, sorry about that.
but it was good. And I did a TED Talk about it last month, which should be live soon, about the unintended consequences of consumer DNA tests.
Wow, I can't wait to watch that.
Great, thanks.
And then tell me your wow again. I don't remember what we ended up with.
Wow was how you get past things like this, because any one of these things could have sunk me, but I didn't allow it to. I didn't allow myself to be defined by other people. And I found a way to turn each one of these things into a way that I can help other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the important part, right? Is I've said this more than once on the podcast, but sometimes especially when we're younger and more immature, we think things are happening to us. And I'm like, if you just turn that middle word around and you say it's happening for me, and you just have to discover why it's happening for you, right? It's not always, it can be devastating at first, but if you lean into it and try to figure out what the lessons are, often it brings in quite a beautiful thing if you don't let yourself wallow in it too long. I say grieve it, whatever, wallow in it for a minute, but then stop with your pity party at some point and get on with it, because we have to also feel the feelings, but then at some point we have to pick ourselves up and dust ourselves off.
Yeah, definitely.
What kinds of things, modalities, like how did you end up working through these things? Is there anything specific? You talked about somatics, which I think is a beautiful practice for sure.
Yeah. As a lawyer, I started with Western medicine and practices, including traditional talk therapy. And I have had periods of debilitating anxiety and depression. So I was medicated for a time. But I tried everything. I tried physical activity, yoga, meditation, journaling, going to retreat. And that helped. But I really believe that somatic healing, getting to where the trauma is in your body, is an even deeper form of healing. So I work with a somatic healer and go on her retreats. Her name is Kelly Carpenter, and she is located in Canada, but I've gone on her retreats in different places. And the reason I found her was fortuitous because her team reached out for her to be on my podcast, which is called Becoming Your Best Version. And I was so taken by her message and her energy that I really wanted to work with her. And it has vastly improved my life.
Nice. That's amazing. Yeah, I'm just now beginning to understand and unfold somatics. And yeah, it's definitely something that I think calms the nervous system. It does a lot of things. And movement, I think part of the way I've always healed has been through dance. I danced as a young girl. I went to high school for the arts and was a dancer, and then I went on to college to be a dancer. And then I finally stepped away. But What I did after my divorce was I was still living like I was married for a minute or two. And I was like, okay, wait a minute. You don't have to live the same rhythm of life now. So I started changing everything. And I had salsa danced a little bit back in when I was younger and done some West Coast swing, but never took lessons. But because I had a dance background, I was hack my way through it, and I would back lead. And so I finally was like, I'm going to go salsa dance and actually learn how to do it. So I just showed up at this place that I knew they did it in Charleston once a week, and they had a free basic class at the beginning. And I went the first time and I was hooked. And I just was telling myself, you cannot lead, you've got to learn how to follow. A big lesson in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I just started taking lessons all the time, and I still do it. I love it. Yeah, and I think dance is one of the healthiest thing you can do for mental health. And through dancing, you often release a lot of that because of the somatic. Same kind of concept. That's been something that's been in my tool belt for a while now. And I can have a hard day and I can go dance, and it's like everything changes. My energy changes, my heart changes, like everything. It's just, you can leave it all behind you. And you're so present in your body and with the people that you're with when you're doing that. Yeah. Let's see. What is something that, if you could give anybody advice, one piece of nugget you could tell them to help them move forward?
I would say to seek out people who support you, inspire you, and uplift you, and to avoid as much as you can people who are what I like to call energy vampires, who just deplete your energy. And to avoid people, if they invite you to do something, you can say something like, I have another commitment, and you don't have an obligation to tell them what that commitment is. It can simply be to replenishing your own energy. So it's another way of saying being more intentional about how you spend your time, because none of us knows how much we have. We can't get it back. We can't manufacture it. It could be over today. You never know. So I really encourage people through my writing and my public speaking to be very intentional every day about how you want to spend this day, which is a gift. And you don't know how many more you get.
Yeah, I have a friend that I said to her, she asked me how I was doing one day, and I said, it's a great day to be alive. And so that became like a whole thing we said to each other. It's a great day to be alive when we'd see each other, because it is.
That's
You
nice.
don't know. We have no idea. And I
True.
think a lot of people live as if they've got nothing but time. I'll do it when I retire. Who knows you're
Yeah.
going to make it that long?
So I did that 50 after 50 book where I tried 50 new things. And then I turned 60. And so I did 60 new things in my 60th year. And I intend to keep doing that for every big birthday. But I frequently have a list in my phone of things I want to try. And when I have opening in my schedule, I start doing them. I'm a big planner. I am going to the Middle East in January, and I'm really excited about it. I just love trying to learn more about different cultures and expanding my perspective. So it's something I intend to do for as long as I possibly can.
I love that. I love the having the list, and I'm going to start doing that. I'm totally taking that idea and putting
Good.
it in there and doing more of it, because there are a lot of things that I still want to do and try.
Yeah.
And travel is also a big thing on my list. And I've traveled some, but not as much as I'd like to. So I feel, yeah, no better time to start than now.
Absolutely.
This
Yeah.
was a good conversation, inspiring me for put some new things into my life. New.
One of the easy ways I get to know other countries is because I can do my legal job as a remote worker. I join sometimes these remote work groups and live in a different country for a month at a time. And then I have an instant community, an office, city manager, somebody to go do activities with or have dinner with, and love it. It's very cost effective. They find you an apartment with a co-working space, and it attracts people who are more travelers than tourists who really are interested in learning about the country. And I've done month-long trips through these groups to Istanbul, Lima, Buenos Aires, Medellin, Antigua, Guatemala, and have thoroughly enjoyed them all.
That sounds amazing. I would love if you would send me some of that information. I can also put it in the notes for other people who were like, yes, that. There was a company for a while called Remote for a Year. And I think it was a couple $1,000s a month. And every month you traveled to a different place and you travel with the group. And I was so interested. I was always so interested, but I wasn't sure how to make my job work in a way that I could do that. But I think some things have shifted in the way I built my business this time around that's got more
I
room.
did 5 trips with them, and they've gone out of business. So the one that I recommend now is called Noma Collective.
Nice. Like NOMA.
Yeah, I went to Sri Lanka with them a couple months ago.
Wow. And how long can you just go for a month? I'm a long traveler too. I like
Yeah,
to
it's for
disappear
a
for
month.
2 or 3 months at a time. I spent 3 months in Mexico and I spent 2 months in Nova Scotia. I've spent a summer surfing the coast of California for 2 months. I'm with you. I like to be in a space and I'm curious about that and how long you have to be. Does it have to be a 3 month chunk? Is it a month?
No, it's generally a month, but you can tack on different trips together.
Nice. I'm definitely digging into that.
Great. It's really fun and not very expensive.
That's amazing. So, anything else you want to share before we wrap things up here?
I would share that if you want to listen to my TED Talks about using life's challenges for a force for good, or navigating DNA test discoveries, or learning about my books and other public speaking and writing, to go to marialeonardolsen.com. I have an events page, and I'm always doing something. So I'm speaking at some upcoming women's conferences, women in midlife specifically, and I really dived into the whole aging movement and how we can define it and live vibrant lives well into our 80s and beyond.
Yes, I agree. It's part of the reason I started this podcast because I feel like we need to talk about these things and we need to help the younger generation really lift them so that we can rise too and so that they
Yeah.
can become their best selves. So, yeah, I
Another
love that.
thing I'd like to share is my son is a famous social media star who was People Magazine's sexiest TikToker. And he opened on a 12-city tour for Megan Trainor. He's a talented singer, dancer, and actor. And you can find him, Chris, on TikTok, or Chris Olsen on Instagram.
I love that. I love that. It sounds like he takes after his grandfather.
Yeah, probably so.
I'll put all your information in the show notes so people can watch your TED Talks and find your webpage.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here today. It was such a joy talking to you. I look forward to getting to know you more because we are in the same group together of middle-aged
Yes.
women. Yes, and we'll be sharing the stage, I think, in April next year, so that'll be fun.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing today. I'm sure people are going to be excited about this episode. It's so uplifting. I
All
love
right,
it.
everyone.
Yeah,
It's your life. It's up to you what you do with it.
exactly. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.